What's going on, everybody? Today is Saturday, this time, April 5th. We are talking episode 6 of Survivor 48, the final 13. And I thought this was a pretty good episode. It was the mergatory episode.
Yes.
Um, Lots of things happening, and then ultimately somebody that I didn't really care about went home. So I think it was pretty good all around, pretty agreeable decision for most of the people involved. I feel like this was kind of a calm before the storm vote. What do you think about the mergatory?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I always like in this episode and the episodes coming up when people go home who deserve to go home
Hmm.
because I just hate the like this one less than the next one that's coming up where they split into two tribes. But Charity going home ultimately don't care. It seems like a lot of people don't like her online. She I would be one of those people. Don't really like her online. Um, Taking shots at people who did not seem to like even remotely offend her in any way, I guess is the way to put that. So I think the internet has turned against her a little bit, um, which is fine because she was just nothing. She's like a nothing player, and
Yeah.
I'm
Everybody
fine with
knows that
her.
if you're nothing, you deserve to get bullied online.
Yeah,
That's rule
exactly.
number one.
Well, if you start it, you're nothing, and then you start it. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, like her whole thing on Instagram of like saying, "And David, don't touch me." Like
Yeah.
not me. Clarifying that.
Yeah, I think she was gonna get the girlies. I think she thought she was gonna get the girlies on her side with that one. And it
And
just
then right after she says that, the whole episode where David is like, "Oh, like I've grown up with all women. I'm happy to be on this tribe
yeah.
of all." Like that did not plan out
Right. Well, yeah,
the
that
way.
was it was literally exactly what happened on the island, which she
Yeah,
should have had some forethought
yeah,
now because
right,
Survivor already happened for her.
right.
So she constantly was in these situations where she's like, this David guy is the worst. And everybody loved him. And she's like, I don't understand how everybody loves this guy. And then I guess she thought in the real world it wouldn't be as chummy as it is on Survivor. She thought maybe she'd get everybody to turn on David. And
Hmm.
that wasn't the case. He's still the darling of many.
He is the darling of many.
There's that
Uh,
screenshot of him going like this in the next
oh, I know.
episode, and he looks fantastic. I'm
He
not gonna
does.
lie.
He looks great. Uh, putting on a putting a good name for David's around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Your stock is going up.
David stock never been higher. Actually, it's probably higher when he beat Goliath, but you
Yeah,
know,
that
second
that is probably
look,
where it peaked.
David over Goliath peak, second peak. David on
Right.
Survivor. That shot of him.
We've had a valley. It's been. Uh, but yeah, I feel like as far as strategy for this week, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the background. But as far as this vote, it seemed pretty straightforward. Of between Charity, Say, and Eva is kind of Eva, I don't know if she is a total bottom three. She's not a bottom three because Cedric exists, but it's like three of the worst 4 or 5 players all just targeting each other, and then
Hmm.
everyone else is like, "Hey, we'll just build relationships in the background," and we know that it could kind of just be like a group consensus. Like I know it ended up being a split between Charity and Say. I think there was people that wanted to go either way. Um, I don't know that people would ever accept this, but my strategy, or I think the best strategy in a situation like this, where there's 13 people voting, it's the most, I think it's the largest vote we've had in the new era. Um, when there's this many people voting, and there's two clear and obvious targets, and people just can't really decide between the two, I would just be like, everyone just vote for who you want, and we'll literally like put it to a vote
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
like trying to
Trying to
organize a
get
vote. It's like let's
yeah.
just literally see like
Everyone
episode one
just
of
do
season one. Everyone just vote for your least favorite person. We'll see what
out of
happens.
these two. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That might work. You would get me on board with that, but we think way too much alike to
yeah.
really. We can't
Oh,
come to a consensus.
Marty sounds like he didn't agree with that
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
he's very anti that because we need a
Uh,
plan moving forward. Me
Yeah,
and you would never come to a good consensus because we just would agree and be like, that's how, what everybody thinks.
right. Yeah,
But
it would probably be a bad idea because there would be somebody along the like Mitch lines of like, well, I don't want Charity to go, and then they flip the game, and it's like, oh fuck. So
yeah,
I'm too smart to do that, but
too smart.
yeah. Even though I just suggested it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but I
I
don't know.
thought
I
this.
think go you first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I thought it was interesting. It just seemed like Charity. This is a phenomena in Survivor history, especially more recent Survivor history, where uh, or I guess it really does date back pretty far. But when there's a tribe that doesn't go to tribal council, like ever, they have some unfinished business, and they come
Hmm.
into the merge, and they oftentimes the largest tribe or the most dominant tribe, however it ends up shaking out, of the pre-merge, usually one of those people is the first to go home in either the merge or the mergatory, whatever you want to call it. Like when everyone votes together for the first time, it's usually one of those people because there's so much unresolved stuff. There've been people fighting for their lives that they're like, end of the day, I'm fine with whatever, right? It's usually either like one of those people first, or maybe one person in between, and then there's like a string of those people. I feel like,
Yeah, um, and that makes sense, right? Because even though like you get to a point where you go to tribal so many times on your own individual tribes, where you get to the merge and you're like, let's let bygones be bygones. Like everyone's doing just what they had to do to survive. We have a much bigger pool to choose from now, so it's like not necessarily like we were against each other. We were just doing what we had to do. And
mm-hmm,
if those people over there are fighting, like I'm fine working with me and you. It's just we were against each other because we were forced into that situation
right,
previously. So it does make sense. And if for a tribe that never sends anyone, they don't know that feeling of having to fight like that. So it makes sense that it happens that way a lot.
yeah. And ultimately, there's only one person burned is Mitch, which
Right.
there's going to be someone upset at anyone who goes home. There's going to be someone who's a decently close ally with them, probably 90% of the time. So
Yeah. And what I was going to say before was like, I think Eva is probably like, I would put Eva and Mitch in a category like above Charity, Cedric, and Say in terms of gameplay.
mm-hmm,
Like, they're always Eva more so than Mitch, but Mitch has been tossed around before. But like, they're always like the third option, you know?
yeah.
So they're like always just out of receiving votes. Where like, Eva, I just feel like she has some people like individually gunning for her. I don't necessarily think she's done much to really like warrant that,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
but I think Mitch has too. He's like been caught in the crossfire a little bit. He might. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think he's going to do better once since Charity went out. But
I was,
like
I was gonna
his
say,
name got brought up because he was aligned with her, and now she's out, so it gives him some more freedom to like work. I
right.
think.
Yeah, and Charity did let us know that people were just scared to write down Eva's name.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened. Oh, what?
He
That's
jacked up her likability in those
yeah. Everyone
picks
loved
of us.
that,
Yeah,
especially because everyone loves Eva. Uh,
yeah,
so when you take a shot against her, I'm sure that it gets everybody immediately to your side.
yeah. Um, yeah. I guess the alternative was Say, and
God, were we hoping for it?
I don't. I think Charity going home. There is strategic upside for a lot of people there because it's you're moving forward. Um, a round of voting. I think everybody, aside from maybe David, because I don't think he's ever watched the show, but everybody pretty much knows you're going to get this split tribal council. We're getting it next week. Was at 10 for a while. Now we're getting it at 12 more recently. So, this is around the corner. It's just an agreeable person that, no one's really making a concession and voting out an ally. So I think it makes sense. The Say argument, other than the fact that she freely says Eva's name and Eva's in the numbers, there isn't really any merit to getting her to say other than just that she kind of sucks.
Mhm. I think the merit is that she is chaos. Like
True.
she's like always trying to like you play from the bottom. I guess it is, but like,
Hmm.
and that's not necessarily a bad thing. From saying something nice about Say, she's doing what she can to work her way out of the bottom. That's my one thing this week. And like you can't falter for that. And I think that is dangerous when you have 13 people voting. That, you know, she could potentially manipulate. I mean, she's got Cedric in her back pocket, or does she? We don't know. Cedric just pairs
She's
up with
got him on
anything.
her parchment. She voted for him.
And I just I think that I don't know. I don't think it really matters, to be honest, them between Charity and Say. I think the um I don't think it really benefits or hurts anyone more or less depending on, it's like marginal essentially, like
Yeah.
which one goes. I think it would be beneficial for them to keep Say for this next vote if they can find somebody agreeable to go if they know the split's coming, because I
Hmm.
think Say is probably potentially like in any combination of people, Say is more agreeable than Charity would be in any combination of people. Like when you look at it, like Charity went tonight, so obviously if you have everyone voting like
Hmm.
at once, like Charity's gonna go because that's what happened. We know that happened. But when you split off into individual groups of people, like I think more often than not, Say may go.
Okay. I think I could. I think I could agree with that.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I think one point in the camp of keeping Say is that uh, Mary, she kind of outed Say to Joe, where Joe was like, "Can you give me like the rundown on Say? Like, what is?" Because she was kind of all over the place in this episode, and she's like, "Yeah, she's chaos. She's kind of exactly what you described, right? She'll do anything and everything to stir things up, even when it's not really required." And I think there's some level of people just catching on to that. And if everyone, like, there's no panic right now, right? It's the charities, the easy vote, and everyone's learning this information about Say. There is no real scramble. There's no panic, I don't think. And so I think it's a good time to be able to take in that information and everyone just be like, okay, going forward, like when Say says some shit, let's just all grain of salt. Like I think everyone realizes that it's more stressful than it needs to be when dealing with her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think maybe
Is the goal maybe don't give her any information, then she can't be
yeah.
trying to manipulate the
Well,
situation
then
or
she'll
going
start
crazy.
making things up from thin air,
That's true.
which might be more entertaining actually.
That's true.
I think
Yeah.
if I was out there, maybe I'd try to find the like crash out person and just spin that top as much as possible.
Just feed them the craziest information. I think
Yeah,
you'd get a target on your back for that because
yeah,
crazy knows crazy. So,
that is true. But yeah.
fact to some.
um, say that she did vote for Cedric. I thought the intro to this week's episode was really funny, where they're coming back from tribal council, and it seems Mitch is surprised. I wasn't sure if he was included or not. So it sounds like Cedric, he got this information from Bianca last minute, and he only had a chance to tell Chrissy.
Hmm.
Bianca has said in her exit press that she like kept an eye on Cedric the whole time, and she never saw him talk to anybody. So she was pretty floored.
Hmm.
So he must have done a real sneaky deaky. I don't know, but I also saw Tyson talking a little bit about this online, about just the schedule of people getting called back for interviews,
Hmm.
and they pretty much every time that there is a momentum change or momentum shift in the scramble, that's when they kind of bring everybody back for another round of confessionals. And uh, so he was talking about the psychology of that, of like if nothing's changing for you and you've done like three confessionals, then you're probably in some trouble.
Right.
But yeah, so but he was saying part of the thing too is like when someone gets like they bring every single person back for confessionals pretty much so that you are going to have some opportunity to have conversations without that person lurking. Now if there's two people you're trying to avoid, that can't really be engineered by production.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I mean there's a chance that happened. Bianca got, I think she did have a confessional like around then explaining why she told Cedric. And it sounded like she did it in the past tense. And she was still on the island.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's not like they don't use every confessional that you give, right? So I mean,
right.
it's not like they could like mix it. You could be pulled away from a confessional, we could never see it, and we
Hmm.
could say, oh well, she was there the whole time, but in reality, she wasn't. So
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting is she
yeah.
may have never seen Cedric have that conversation, but if she went to confessional,
Hmm.
although I feel like she might have mentioned that, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely that possibility. But it was really funny because Say thinks that Mitch and Mitch and Chrissy voted Bianca out,
Hmm.
and she knows who she voted for, and so the last vote left is a Say vote that she thinks that Cedric cast,
Hmm.
and she says she'll talk to Mitch and Charity, but she's not talking to Cedric because he wrote her name down. And then he's like, no, he's like, can I explain? She's like, no, I don't want to hear it, pretty much. And he finally just says out loud with an earshot that he's like, I voted Bianca out, me and Chrissy. And
Yeah,
then she's like, oh, Mitch, you voted for me? And
he
he's
was
like,
kind of
yeah,
like,
I mean,
he's kind of like,
I
sorry.
thought, I don't know. And
She's not
uh,
on a Mitch warpath though.
right, that's my point is that she's such a hypocrite, like in
Yeah,
everything. It's just that because she was like Cedric voted for him, me, I'm never talking to him again. And then it's like actually it was Mitch, and she's like, oh, well, I
well
still
that's
don't
okay.
like Cedric, and I'm fine with him voting for me. So
She's always upset about information that she doesn't know, even when she has no reason to know it.
yeah,
Like I don't. She just gets so upset that like you didn't tell. Like, well, it didn't matter if you know or you weren't supposed to know that. She's
yeah,
gonna be upset that you guys. Nobody told me they were voting for me. Like,
hmm
why would we tell you we were voting for you? We wanted you to
yeah.
go home.
And I actually do sympathize with Cedric here because he had about 5 minutes, and he genuinely was trying to save everyone that's still there.
Hmm.
Was he said Bianca's pitting these two sides against each other. She's trying to get essentially she's trying to get Say voted out. Um, and at the same time, Say is trying to get rid of who well, it was a Chrissy, right?
Hmm.
And he's like, I like both of these people, and I like Mitch. I don't want any of them to go. Bianca's the shit stir. I'm just gonna get rid of her. And it was actually, if he was able to unify this group, it's actually a really good move.
Hmm.
And it kind of aligns with this the Justin move, where it's
Hmm.
like I don't totally get the well, this one I do get the logic, but it's like I don't know if I would go to the lengths that he went to, but like kind of hats off to him for actually being able to do it at least
Yeah.
to pull it off.
Yeah. I guess like I mean, Cedric is no strategic mastermind.
No.
So, I mean, to like have this much power, I guess, and
Hmm.
not be good is something. 'Cause-
He's like he needs to be like a henchman. He's like great at carrying out the logistics of a plan, but his
right?
plans suck so bad.
Yeah. He just I don't know. He in no world would be able to like vote Bianca out and then unify the group to be the leader of that group. Like he
Yeah.
is more just like I will vote, I'll vote this person out and then I will work with whoever else wants to work with me.
Yeah. His best case scenario here would be to be co-leaders with Chrissy, where Chrissy's like actually the decision maker.
Right, yeah. And he's the henchman. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He's Igor.
Um, yeah, let's talk about a little mergatory mechanics here.
Hmm.
Um, well, first, actually, when everybody's coming together, I did make a note. We had three people that I would say got the main confessionals, which were, each at each tribe there was one person who gave a confessional as we were going into, uh, like as people were getting picked up on the boats and everything. Um, I guess there was really four. So one is Kyle, and Kyle got what I call as like the pre-swap winner confessional about kind of being saved by the bell, where he's like, "This, we were everything was kind of up in the air here. I'm a little bit of like back against the wall situation. Even though it looked like this group came together, like if it came down to it, I think it was going to be a 2-2 at the next one, and really anything could happen. And this was kind of like that theory that I developed at the end of last season, where the person giving this confessional wins a lot. Not even like
Yeah, yeah.
is a winner contender, like is the winner a decent
Hmm.
bit. Um, So I thought that was interesting. We had Chrissy. She did some foreshadowing about Say bringing down Cedric, where she's pretty much talking about um, how good of a situation she has with Cedric, but he just can't get out of his own way when it comes to Say. So that could be an interesting thing. Um, David, we got a little bit of self analysis or reflection of his game to this point, and a little bit of growth. And this was a little winnery to me too. His his edit to me screams like old school winner edit, so he won't win kind of deal. And the last interesting one was Star. She, because they were coming to her beach, so she did not get on a boat or anything. So we got this one where her whole tribe is down getting ready to meet the boats, and she is sitting rested up on that big log, and she does this kind of like, it's pretty poetic, honestly, where she's talking about, today is a day for peace and the war is coming, but and I am really in. We have been. This has been a thing for a couple weeks now, and you're pretty on it, maybe even more than me. But I'm really into Star right now. I thought
Yeah.
she was just too goofy to be anything really, and she has worked her way like back into the good graces. I think it's pretty beneficial that she didn't go to a tribal council early, but even in her swap tribe, I don't think she would have went. Um, and after all this stuff with Eva, she is like in the fold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I I still don't ultimately think she can win, but
Mm-mm.
I like her. I'm rooting for her to win, even if I don't think she can. Uh, along with like some other people that I just enjoy watching, but she she is interesting. I don't even know how to like put words to it, to be honest. It is like poetic, but in like she like most of the time she's comic relief, I would say. Like
Yeah,
up to this point. And like every once in a
bossing the
while.
pen, the pen at tribal council.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. But every once in a while, I can't think of like there are definitely comps to this in like TV and movies, but I can't come up with one like off the cuff here. Where it's just like comic relief the entire time, and then occasionally just something deeply profound.
Joey Tribbiani.
It's like Joey Tribbiani.
Yeah.
But like I feel like it's almost like Tyrion in Game of Thrones,
hmm
and where he's just like supposed to be the comic relief, and then but he's just profound and people like don't take him seriously, but he's like no, like I am right.
Yeah.
I feel like Star could transition into that a little bit, where like she just like says these things, and everyone's like, "Oh, Star, I'm throwing the pen at the tribal council." But I don't know. I like her a lot, and I'm right there with you with David, where I think he's an old school winner, but I don't think he wins this. The way they're being edited makes me think that someone from this like Braun tribe or like alliance wins, not tribe, where it like between which we saw them like all kind of group together and form an alliance with the big guys. I feel like our winner might come from there, the way it's being edited. But I just texted you the other day. I was like, I think it's still Camilla. I think she like breaks them up and has to take Kyle out for the as her final boss.
hmm
So I think it is pretty wide open right now on what could happen. I feel like we haven't had a ton of shakeup in our rankings. And since we've like kind of got them in this order for the past few weeks,
hmm
um, and it's pretty much like anyone in the top like 5 out of 12
Yeah.
like has like a legitimate shot to win. And
Yeah.
I think that's for having 12 people left. I think that's a lot. I feel like 5 out of 12. We're usually like down to like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So, um, we'll see. I think it's more wide open than it's been in the past.
Yeah. I would agree with you. So it's pretty much a five-person alliance with Joe, Eva, Shaheen, David, and Kyle. And then Camilla is kind of an affiliate member of this, I would say, right now.
Hmm.
Or you know what? She actually isn't. because her and Kyle are still trying to keep up this like not super close thing,
Hmm.
which I don't totally get how that hasn't come crashing down. Like I want to save something for predictions for next time, but um yeah, they're still trying to play this like that they're not super close. So I I'm not sure he could really influence them to not target her,
Hmm.
but she is not included in this. But I would say she's the one person who's not that I would I would count as, you know, a formidable kind of person to win the
Yeah.
game.
Hmm.
Um Other mergatory stuff, I think I did this is probably what I the evolution of this that I'm the most fine with, where they get to the new beach, there's a sign that says, "Hey, there's an event." Which they're at the beach that one of the tribes is already at, so I don't know where this sign came from.
Yeah.
But
Right.
there's an advantage in the jungle, and the next day they're gonna have a challenge, and they're gonna do the thing where they're split up, but there's an odd number of people, and the one person left out, it's not just a fucking rock draw anymore. It is the person who gets the advantage. They get to move on to the individual portion.
I have beef with this.
Really?
Yeah, and not just because it's Say who
Yeah. Which that was an amazing race to
it
the finish
was.
between her
It
and
was.
Charity.
Did you see the Wicked edit? Because they're in
Yeah.
pink, pink and green. Did you send me that, or did I see that on my own?
I might have sent it. I did see it, so but yeah.
Cracking me up. She comes like freaking out of
She
nowhere.
does come flying. It looked like Charity had a path. There might have been some brush in front of her, but she saw it and like looked, and then she's like, ah, I'll go like this way. And then as she's going to that, Say just comes flying through.
It was good, like really good cinematography. Because like it
Yeah.
had like the shot had like it was Charity, right?
Hmm.
Had Charity like centered in the frame, and like she's moving within the frame, the camera's kind of stationary, and then out of left field
Just boom.
cuts her off. Um,
Yeah.
the problem I have with this is uh not that you not that Say gets to the individual portion of it. My problem is that Say gets the reward that everyone else got for winning the first portion. She didn't compete. Why did she get the reward?
That's fair.
That's
I
my
think
that's my that's my beef with it, because this is another I'm playing this for my grandma moment. Where the idol the idol should have got it for Say's grandma. But uh the way it was phrased was like, if you win, the winners of the first portion get the reward
hmm
and the opportunity to play for individual immunity. Say didn't win the first portion. She got to skip it.
I have a fun wrinkle that I don't think they'd
Okay.
ever do. But what if you say and so this could be a disadvantage in a team challenge depending on what exactly they do, but what if you say, okay, the person who won the advantage, you could skip to the individual part, but you don't get the feast, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can join one of the two teams and compete with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you win, you're part of the reward, and now you're a man up, right? So it might be
Yeah.
beneficial. But obviously, having to have one more person do a thing like
Right. Takes
that could
longer.
be not great.
Yeah.
Um, I would just pick the tribe that Cedric is not on, and then
Yes.
because he's the worst of all
Yeah.
time at
So,
challenges.
but
He's
yeah,
like
I don't.
sneaky terrible,
Yeah.
not
But yeah,
sneaky. He is terrible.
I don't think that she should have gotten the reward. I stand by that, because she didn't win the first portion. She just got to skip to the second.
I don't
So
hate that. I don't hate that logic.
yeah. Um, I forget. Oh, isn't this challenge historically was the one where they picked a tribe to ride or die with, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and they changed that. Was that
yeah.
they changed that this season, or did that was this changed previously?
Um, I think they may have had. I think there's been in the past where you're foregoing the tribe portion.
I think I like where you have to pick a tribe to ride with, because I think anything that inserts more like social turmoil into the
Hmm.
game, I'm for. And I think that is one where you're like, and another thing, they fucking you guys, I picked you and you lost, and now I don't get the I don't get the reward. Like
What if
it's never gonna create any drama, but it's like on top of like everything else, you're like, and I didn't get to eat.
what if they did it like that, but the person sitting out was like the game maker, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can hand pick the
Mm-hmm.
two tribes, and so
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to be like, okay, I'm going to back this tribe who is going to, I'm going to be able to guarantee my victory with,
Mm-hmm.
but also you're just loading it up with the best challenge competitors, and like, do you want to sneak one of your allies on there, and if you put the wrong person on the other tribe, like, could they carry? And it
Right.
could be interesting.
I think that is yeah, because you then are picking people. I like that because you're then picking people. You're deciding other people's fates as well. It's not random. So
Hmm.
again, that's more social turmoil. Where like, okay, do I go with who I think is actually going to win, so I get individual immunity in the feast, or am I going to go with my allies, or is someone going to be upset that they, you get somebody eventually like crying on the mat that like they never got picked first in anything, and I got stuck on this tribe, and I didn't get picked at all. You know what I mean? You could see it
Hmm.
happening. So I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that game breaking, because you're pretty much, at the worst, you're saying, okay, one of these six people won't win immunity, and it's,
Hmm.
if you're putting all the worst challenge competitors on one side, probably a decent chance that none of them are going to win that immunity anyway.
Hmm.
Um, and it does add another wrinkle too, because if you load up one tribe with all the best people, now you have to, those are the people you have to compete with for individual immunity. So it's like, do you care more about the feast, or like what, it's,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I would just, I'd
Do you
have a
kind of try to
field
make
day
it? Yeah.
when someone eventually put themselves on the wrong tribe.
And they know what the individual immunity portion is from the beginning, right? So
Yeah,
like
I think they
you
can
could
kind of
try to
look
like
at it.
stack people on one team that like would be good at the combined with the beginning, but bad at the second portion
Hmm.
that you might be good at. I think there's a lot of strategy that can go to that.
Yeah. But yeah, so they have the challenge. The winning team, like we said, gets the merge feast, and they compete for individual immunity. Um, and I also thought it was interesting that, say, when Jeff's telling her that she gets the feast and everything, she celebrated pretty hard, and nobody
Oh, rubs
really
it in everybody's
took
face.
issue with it. This is kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Alyssa
Um,
was very upset about
even
that.
though she didn't even win. So,
Yeah. She like
um,
pointed it out right away. She's like, just last week.
yeah.
Literally just last week.
Um, but the purple group wins. So this is Kyle, Mary, Camilla, Chrissy, David, and Star. Um, and like I said, Cedric kind of bungled it for the other group. Um, but so
I want to take a second to appreciate fucking Cedric horizontal on on the climb. They're like, Cedric, just help. I don't even know what they said. Just climb up. He's like completely horizontal. They're like pulling him. He has his hands and his feet on the net, and they're still pulling him over top, over the top of the edge.
it is one where, like, I feel bad for him, crying afterwards about, like, he's like, oh man, I'm the one costing people, and it's like, dude, you are like there's a difference between, like, oh man, he was pretty bad at that skill today, and just, he is a dead fish in these
It
challenges. He
is.
really is.
Mm, I. He was like, "Yeah, I'm costing everyone." I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
you are."
it's like, I totally get that it's understandable to feel bad about the fact that you are fucking people over that you don't want to be fucking over,
Hmm.
but come
And what
on,
is
dude.
it? Like he's not like someone I would peg to be bad at these things. This
Yeah,
bad.
he's like an average build
He's like an average
person.
guy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's what, 40 something, like,
Yeah.
maybe 50s, but like,
I don't
come
even
on.
think. I don't know. Yeah, I think he's probably in his 40s.
Yeah, I'd guess, yeah, 40s. So he
I don't
was
know.
so
I don't
bad.
understand. I don't know. Because like it's not like he progressed to be this bad, and you're like, okay, well, like he's in his 40s. He hasn't like eaten for 2 weeks. Like I probably couldn't do that in my current shape right now. Like two
Yeah.
weeks without eating, but like he was always bad. He was bad from the beginning.
Yeah. Literally the first challenge with that wall.
Yeah.
It was like, um,
But also, if you're going on Survivor, like you probably know like a little bit in advance. I'd be working out.
yeah. I so the people who are like, yeah, I trained for this, like that was a big thing with Carson a couple seasons ago, where he
Mm,
was like, yeah, I'm like, I'd like nerd. I was like, I forget if he was like much thinner or much chubbier than he was when he got out there, but he was like, he worked out like so crazy, and I don't think you need to do that, but you got to be able to like body weight like certain things. Like this is like it's the opportunity of a lifetime, and I think if
mm,
you don't go to the gym like at least twice a week or something like that,
yeah, like
it's I
working
don't
on
know.
like pull-ups that could like help.
Right. Yeah, it's easy stuff. Like just be able to do like 30 push-ups or something. I don't
Mm?
know. Like I bet Cedric can't do like 3.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't have to be this high intensity athlete. Like if you like, I mean, if you don't go to the gym and you get, at all, like, and you get cast on Survivor, like I would go to the gym. Like 4 or 5 times a week, 3 to 5 times a week, and it's not like high intensity. Like I need to be like doing heavy weights.
Right.
Like it's like you were saying, body weight stuff. I'd probably work on my cardio, um, stuff like that. Like that,
Hmm.
even if it gets me a couple days further into feeling good in the game, like it was worth it. And plus, you're in better shape and you're healthier. So, like, I don't
Right.
really see there being a downside.
Yeah. Um but yeah, so Kyle is going to win individual immunity. Um and yeah, so we got the scramble is kind of on, so we have this big group that they are kind of deciding between. They hold about five, or I mean, with their extensions and people that will come along with them, uh, they hold about like 7 or 8 of the 13 votes tonight.
Hmm.
Um, so, like we said, there's that group, the big group, Kyle and Camilla. We get a small thing with them where they say they're still solid. Um, the Siva Six, the original oranges. That's a thing where Charity is really trying to make the original group happen that she didn't realize was never an original group. She's like, "Hey, I really love this," and it's like, "Great." This wants to get rid of you. So, um,
This draws line around everyone except
right.
you.
And I think the deal sealer for Charity is Star's idol, because Star is one of these people in the middle where she is, or not the what you would typically call the middle, but she's like more of a floater, I would say, in this game, where um she is loosely tied to the original purples. I think that her her original beef was with Eva, and it was like Star versus Eva. Will definitely side with Eva. And now that she's kind of with Eva, Joe and Shauheen don't seem to be actively going after her at all. And so I think she's in a relatively safe position. And so she gives this idol to Eva, and I think it's very funny when she gets asked at the merge feast. Somebody mentions Eva's idol, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I know that Eva had it, but like she says something along the lines that like would insinuate she didn't 100% know, or like it wasn't like clear to her that Eva had the idol." I was like, is that random group of that swap tribe really gonna not tell anybody that she just gave it to her?
Yeah, right. But I mean, I do feel like it is more it's I don't know how to phrase it. It's it's easier on people if it leaks to you than it is if she just says, "Oh yeah, I gave Eva that idol."
No, that's
Like
fair.
if she
That's
comes
fair.
out and says that, then people be like, "We should that was maybe not the best move. Maybe we should get Star out." Or
Right.
because like now Eva has this power. But like if it like trickles to these people like over the for you a couple through a couple different people, like I feel like that's not as much of a hey, we need to get Star out moment.
Yeah. And so I think, Say is an obvious target, and Charity's a name that's floating around. But when Charity goes to Star and says, "You should ask for your idol back from Eva,"
Mm-hmm.
and Star, she has this loyalty to the purples, and there's a lot of loyalty going around this season. It's kind of been a theme much more than recent seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's kind of like people who are trying to play what is standard New Era Survivor, they're just digging their own graves, of like
Yeah.
people who are trying to, like the Thomases and Biancas of the world, who are like, I'm trying to be pliable and work with everybody. It's like people are like, no, like this season it's like, it's a loyalty thing.
Yeah.
And being able to work with big groups of people, you're actually just proving that you're a little less likely to stick with your original group, and your original group doesn't like that this time.
Hmm. It's refreshing.
It is. I saw people online being uh, like David, he had a tweet where he's like, "Man, I didn't realize there was only one way to play Survivor because he was getting so much hate for
Yeah.
I want to be loyal, straightforward, no backstabbing and everything." And people are like, "Oh yeah, like you just so happen to be mastering the most boring thing." I'm like, "Listen, I don't think that group is going all the way to the end. If it does, and he's the one who built it, that's a good move for him.
Yeah.
Like you just can't. And he's good in confessional.
Hmm.
Like I get that you could say, okay, there's not as much shakeups in the game or whatever. First of all, it's one vote, so chill out. And but at the same time, he's fine in confessional. He's pretty above average for this season, I think,
Hmm.
actually. And he's playing a solid game so far. He's built an alliance out of people that he didn't even know.
Hmm.
Pretty much just Eva was his
Hmm.
bridge into this. And he also has like Chrissy and Mitch and Kyle and Camilla. He was kind of had some kind of relationship with a lot of the people that are left, and I don't think you could really fault him for the way he's playing so far.
Yeah, and um, He's gonna come out and play this game regardless of who the other people are on the season.
Hmm.
But it just so happens that the other people in the season are thinking the same thing that he's thinking. So it is a good move. But it's not like he went out there and like conceptualized it and like analyzed the people and were like, okay, I'm gonna get
Yeah,
further by playing this way. He's just being himself, and the other people happen to complement that. And people online are gonna be people online, and they're gonna be upset about
yeah,
everything regardless. Uh, they'd be upset if he was being an asshole and if you just don't like him, you're gonna be upset regardless of the decisions he's making. But um, it's working. I like David. I think that this is the perfect season for him to excel in. This is probably like a season where he's gonna hit his ceiling of like where he could finish potentially.
yeah.
I would
I would
say
agree with that. Yeah, which would suck if he like goes next week.
that'd be a
Yeah.
bad read by me, but
Um. But yeah, so we had tribal council. There's a lot of kind of dumb analogies and everything, but ultimately Charity goes home. Um, let's say it was hilarious that she like almost forced a tie on herself just by voting for Cedric.
I know.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, ultimately Charity goes home. We do have to run down the rankings.
Why does she vote for Cedric there?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's not like he did anything additional to
He actually cleared up that he didn't vote for her last time.
right. And then there was, yeah, he didn't do anything directly to her that would insinuate. And honestly, there was a time where her and Mary and Cedric were sitting down and kind of strategizing, and it seemed like it was the only place where she had a voice, really. And of those two people, Mary is the one who actually was, disloyal to her and telling
Yeah.
people about, that she's not necessarily a dangerous player, but kind of just a pain in the ass to have around.
Mm,
And so Cedric is really the only one who's had any semblance of having her back since the merge started. And who does she vote for? This is
mm-hmm.
this is this is Say.
Because I was when I was watching it, I said to Alyssa, I was like, well, this is gonna be say, charity, say, charity,
Mm,
charity, 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 charity.
yeah.
And then it was like, say, charity, say, Cedric. I was
Say.
like, what is Cedric? And then the rest I was right, but
Yeah.
it's like, that's strange, but whatever.
Yeah. All
Uh,
right. So yeah, just going down the rankings for this week, we've got Kyle. You've come around. You've made Kyle the unanimous number one.
yeah, he's had a good couple weeks back to back here, coupled with Camilla not having bad weeks, just kind of not being as prominent in the edit, I would say.
Yeah. I think the fact that he is explicitly in that alliance and she is not. I know they're
Mm-hmm.
still working together, and I think at this point their agency is shared,
Mm-hmm.
which is why Camilla is our number two. But yeah, I think you do have to give him the leg up. Just like he won that immunity, and this is a group of people that aren't going to target him for doing that. So like he was able to do that. He's in that alliance. It was his idol earlier. Like there's a lot of things that kind of point to um, just him being just a half a step ahead as far as winner equity there.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, we had a three-way tie between Shaheen, Joe, and David for number three. And I think this is pretty apt, actually. I'm actually kind of happy that this ended up as a three-way tie because I do think it's two distinct tiers here of Kyle and
Hmm.
Camilla feel like in this game of that everyone wants to play loyalty and all this stuff. They're in that group, but they definitely are the ones most ready to
Yeah.
make that
Well,
that
they're like the
required move.
game within the game. Like they're if you're
Mhm.
like I don't know what those graphs are where they like have the boxes inside of the bigger boxes inside of the
Yeah.
bigger boxes. They're like in the loyalty box, but then outside of that they're also in the okay, me and you have the same understanding of
Hmm.
like how this game needs to go, but we're also in the box with everybody else. So,
Yeah. So I do think that this is a secondary tier of winner equity here.
mhm.
Joe, Shaheen, and David, where I feel like if Kyle and Camilla, if they get outed for this like fake not being close deal, and one of them goes home, the other is going to be really on an island, and
Yeah.
it's going to take a lot for them to get to the end and win, which I do think they like would still be able to do. But at that point, I think one of these guys takes control.
Mhm.
Um, we've got Mary at six. We have a
This is the
tie,
Mary line.
the Mary line. It is truly. Um, and we have a tie, pretty on the nose here. Even Star tied for seventh.
They're
We've got
intertwined.
this is actually a really on the nose trio of pairs here. We have even
Mhm.
Star tied for seven. We have Mish and Chrissy tied for nine, and Cedric and Say tied for 11.
I just have to put Cedric last.
Yeah, I just have to put Say last.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. Coming from a
I
Say hater.
I think I did have Cedric last at one point, but Say is just like they're both terrible, but she at least does stuff. He doesn't really do
Well,
anything.
that's why I put
He's
her higher.
or wait, sorry, yeah, sorry, that's what other way around is
Good argument.
is he just sorry. He just sucks. But say like goes out of her own way to suck.
Okay.
Where like if you could put her in a straitjacket, she'd actually probably be like number eight.
Yeah. Tape
But
over her mouth.
yeah. Um but yeah, so kind of alluded to it, but before we get into the Dunchains, next week we do have the split tribal council. We
Yes.
do know the tribes. And I
Yes.
feel like this kind of goes well with the Dungeon, so I figured we could talk
Yeah.
about this a little bit. So
I gotta pull it
the
up here.
the
Hang on.
first group here is Eva, Joe, Star, Chrissy, Mitch, and Say.
Mm-hmm.
The second group is David, Kyle, Camilla, Shauheen, Mary, and Cedric. So I feel like both of these groups, there's like an obvious. I think Say and Cedric are the obvious.
Right.
Let's just get through the night. This is a crazy, random split. Um, but I do think there is an interesting wrinkle that could occur in each of these.
Plan B for both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree that Say and Cedric would be probably plan A on both of these groups.
Hmm.
Um, they would be names I would expect to be thrown out immediately in the episode.
Yeah.
Um, for the Star, Eva, Joe, Mitch, Say, Chrissy tribe,
Hmm.
Joe and Eva and Star are probably going to vote together.
Yeah.
Would you
The
agree with that?
yeah the one wrinkle I was thinking is I could see Eva getting targeted because of that idol Say was already kind of targeting her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she could be going to Chrissy and Mitch trying to get them on her side.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they're like we know they don't want to work with her. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty obvious. At least like Chrissy definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think the writing on the wall of like Charity, for all her faults, she did have a point last time where Eva has an idol. It's the only one that's everyone knows where it is, and she's in this like big majority group of all the absolute strongest people, and it does kind of make sense to go after her. But I think
Mm-hmm.
you're right. I think Joe and Star, other than Shauheen, it's like the
Eva got
best.
swapped into a great
Yeah,
situation.
she is
Yeah,
so safe, I
yeah.
think.
I think they're gonna vote together. I think the 1B would be Mitch because he was with Charity, and Chrissy could pitch that to be not her.
Yeah, I think so too. Um,
Unfortunately, I'm really hoping Say goes home because I'm not done with watching Mitch yet.
yeah, I think that say I would say like 75% chance, I think, probably.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree.
they also might do the thing here where the so it looks like they're going to do the challenge where you hold up the weight that wants to rotate in your hands. It's pretty much solely grip strength and
Yeah,
forearm
yeah.
strength. And so they usually do the thing on here where uh you know last person or last person in general to be
Mm-hmm.
left, their tribe, quote unquote, or their team wins whatever the reward
The
is.
reward.
And also part of the reward is they go to tribal council second and they all make the jury. Whereas the first person voted out, it's the Sifu award where you do
Mm-hmm.
not make the jury.
Yeah, see,
um,
commemorative
if
in
Say is in
memorial Sifu award.
Yeah, I forget who made the point, but there was something to the effect of like I think it was Joe was like, we really could it would be great to get rid of Charity and Say so they're not on the jury kind of deal.
Yeah,
And could be foreshadowing. We could have Say missing out there. Um, this other group is very interesting
it is.
because we have David, Kyle, and Shaheen from this
Gonna vote
newly
together.
established group. But Camilla's in the mix. And I think the
Yes.
fact that she's with Kyle is interesting. Do they
Mm-hmm.
decide to really make a move? Mary and Cedric are kind of the sitting ducks. Do
Mm-hmm.
they go for Kyle? Do they go for, or sorry, do they go for David? Do they go for Shaheen? Um, I don't like to read into the previews too much, but there was a quote where we have Camilla saying that they're going to frame Shaheen for something. I just saw Shaheen tweet. I think he tweeted last night, but I saw it this morning that there's going to be a battle next week, and
I think he was talking about the challenge, right? Though.
I mean that could
Yeah.
be yeah. Where yeah, it looked like in the preview, David and Kyle might be the last two people left. Um, so I was playing around with this a little bit, and I thought maybe a potentially like a 3-2-1 on David
Mm-hmm.
if they try to go for like a 2-2-2 with Mary and Cedric on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But that would mean Kyle and Camilla voting together. I don't know if they're ready to do that. Um, but then Camilla going with Mary and Cedric, and then them blaming Shaheen, saying Shaheen flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and then it's gonna be Kyle's word to pretty much bury Shaheen.
Right.
Um, the one thing that's an issue there is I would bet a lot of money that David wins this challenge.
Yeah. It really
A
looked like
lot of
it.
money.
Yeah. He's a stunt man.
Yeah, he's gonna be really good at this.
Yeah.
And it kind of
And
seems in the preview like he's doing the Parvati, like I'm doing this with one hand, like when she's on
mm-hmm.
the pole thing.
Yeah.
Um, and Kyle's like fighting for his life. And
Right.
I think, as maybe they're building it up for him to like slip up and Kyle, conquers it, but I think David's gonna win the challenge.
As much as I would think that as much as I think Say is gonna go home from the other tribe, I'm more confident that this is gonna be Cedric.
Yeah. Do you think there's any shot of Mary?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they would land on her. Because if the obvious vote is Cedric, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the second vote, the second option would be making a big move. I don't think that Mary falls into either of those categories as making a big move or
Yeah.
being the obvious vote, right?
I like that logic, yeah.
So I think Cedric would be the obvious vote. The other one, it's really just like, do they want to get Say out, or do they just does someone convince them that it should be Mitch? I don't really think that that other group has a big propensity for like a big move there. I don't think they're built to do that. This
Mm-hmm.
one is much more interesting, which is fine because I'd rather see Sago than Cedric. But um, I don't know. I think that I think we're gonna get some back and forth between Camilla and Kyle here of like Camilla wanting to pull a big move and Kyle saying, "No, I just made an alliance with these guys. Like we need to vote with them. And I feel like there's going to be some like tension there between their alliance where we're going to see like, will they, won't they stick with Kyle's alliance or go with Camilla's plan? I think is going to be the like question going into tribal. And I think Camilla's plan would be voting David out. But what the David Kyle Shaheen group is going to want to do is just get rid of Cedric. So I think that
Yeah,
one's how that's going to shake out. I think it's still going to be Cedric. I think that is going to cement Kyle as being our number one for like winner equity, is because he got his way. Is I think what's going to happen.
yeah. I do think the one interesting wrinkle here, just kind of trying to look at it from all angles.
Mm-hmm.
David did have the confessional last week when this group was coming together, where he was pretty much like, yeah, like we're going all the strong people. We're not going to be shields for other people. Like we're going to stick together. We're going to be loyal. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if you're strategic, you're going. If you're social, you're going. If you're great at puzzles, you're going. And he really describes Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
And I really would love to take the temperature of Xiaohe. If I could ask one person in the game, like what their lay of the land is right now, I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be Xiaohe because he's in this group with Kyle. They've kind of decided that Kyle's with them, but to pull off the move to get rid of Thomas, I don't see how you can actually believe that Kyle and Camilla aren't together.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're still like the two of them are obviously smart and they're still trying to do it, which makes me think that they think there's merit to it, and potentially Shaheen and Joe still don't realize that they are tight.
The thing about Shaheen is, I don't think he is fully on board with the playing an honest game thing.
I don't think
I
so
think
either.
I think that's more of a David Joe Kyle. Maybe not even Kyle, just David and Joe thing. And Shaheen's like, yeah, happy to be included. I'll do whatever. Like he hasn't shown to me an honest game really. Like not dishonest either, but like it hasn't been in your face about it. So I don't know. I would agree with you. I would like to hear his thoughts on what he thinks the current standing is.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if like, I could see a situation where, okay, say he believes that Kyle and Camilla aren't together. Camilla is the strongest player out of her, Mary, and Cedric.
Mm-hmm.
Does he pitch Camilla, and then Kyle has to get out of that?
Mm-hmm.
And in getting out of that, he tells Camilla, like, hey, like, your name is being said by Shaheen.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaheen essentially digs his own grave because he doesn't have all the information. Where if Kyle would just tell him that, like, hey, Camilla's in this alliance, he'd
Mm-hmm.
probably be like, yeah, sure, okay. Like,
Yeah.
why not? Like, I want to work with you. And um it seemed like the four of them really wanted to come together at the end of that tribe phase.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he would be fine with it. But the fact that Kyle is actively hiding it, then Shaheen's like, okay, well, if you're not with Camilla, she is a strong player that we should maybe get rid of. And now they're going to be like, well, fuck Shaheen. He wants to get rid of Camilla. It's like, I don't think it has to happen. Like, I get this framing him, right? Pretty
Mm-hmm.
much of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
of being disloyal to that group.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah.
but that's a hard sell too, because he's trying to convince Joe of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that group is much more interesting
Yeah,
than the
I hope they go
first.
second
Yeah, I
too,
hope so too. And it
because
seems like they
there's
will, because they're gonna have David and Kyle.
yeah. Um. Okay. Well, yeah. And next week, by the way, we'll do the winner equity or the winner tier list, however we want to
Mm-hmm.
do it. After that, so that we just have straight votes to the end,
Mm-hmm.
and should be all good. So
Yes.
the done chain time, or
Chung
sorry,
chung.
it's time for
Chung chung.
the done. Sorry. Um, yeah, usually I don't say that. I said the word before that last segment, and usually I don't.
You
So
did.
it
Yeah.
threw me all off. So yeah, so far I did charity last week. She was the first person to go home wearing a dun chain.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
Um, thank you. I still have Say dun chained as well, as do you. And then you also have Cedric and Mary.
Neither of which I'm particularly concerned about
Yeah.
at this point in time.
Um, yeah, Mary is the classic, like, start. I mean, it's like Andy for me last season, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like real bad beginning, looks like they could be in a lot of trouble, and
Hmm.
then they get out of it, and it's like, well, this person's not going home for like a month probably.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
um,
Um,
but it's yours to give this week.
it is, and I like we said, I already have Cedric and Mary Dunchained, and I'm definitely not going to take a shot on Xiaoheen, Camilla, David, and Kyle
Hmm.
because I think they all have winner equity. I don't have the
You're looking at
balls
the
to
other
put it
group.
on Camilla. um, from the other tribe, I just have Say Dunchained, so I do like my chances also of going 2-2.
Hmm.
Um, and on that side, we have Star, Eva, Joe, Mitch, and Chrissy to choose from. Um, Eva has an idol, so I don't really want to do her. And I don't think it's going to be Joe, so I don't want to do him either. Um, Star is someone who just won't win the game.
Hmm.
So, like, do I put it on her now just because she won't win? Or do
Yeah.
I, but do I, but I don't think there's really a situation in which she goes next week.
Her and Chrissy feel really similar to me in that sense of like I really don't see a way either of them win,
Mm-hmm.
but they are going to be at risk adjacent people next week. Star's not going to be at risk, but
Right.
Chrissy at risk adjacent, I'd
So,
say.
exactly. I'm really deciding between Mitch and Chrissy here, which I think they're both good picks because they both have a risk to go next week if it's
Hmm.
not Say, and they both don't have a lot of risk to me for winning the game.
Yeah.
So, um, Chrissy is just like not much of anything. And I love Mitch, but he is much more at risk to go home just in general. So like
Yeah.
I'm really like flipping a coin here. Um, man, what do you think? What would you do here?
I think I would do Mitch because I
That's where
agree
I
with
was
you that
leaning.
I think he at the beginning it was like, yeah, this is lots of personal content, and he's kind of the Ricard of the, like, he's not in the group but he's connected to the group, and just the way everything's shaken out, like, this is two tribal councils in a row he's gone to, and he's been left out of the vote on both of them. I know the circumstances were weird on the first one, but he doesn't feel like someone who has a lot of agency, I guess, like in the game. And I think that I could really see a scenario where he gets to the final three and he is the person who gets more of the narrative edit
Hmm.
than the, like, win the game edit.
Yeah, and Jeff loves him. Jeff might
Jeff does
save
love
him
it.
here. Jeff gets a pin once every 40 Survivor seasons. He gets a pin to save somebody from going home. If
Yeah,
if
and he
if you didn't
what
if
if
you didn't know
Jeff
that,
pulls out an idol himself?
yeah, it's like I'm playing this for Mitch.
Yeah. What do you think is the one spot where Jeff would have done that in the first 40 seasons? If he truly does have
Uh,
one save a person this season, I think I know it.
I don't even know.
But like,
I couldn't even come up with something.
I think it's Boston Rob when he gets voted out of Heroes versus Villains. I
I was
think.
gonna say Boston Rob because he just loves him,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Or if he
I'd
could
have to
cast a vote for Rob at Survivor All Stars, he'd probably do that.
go down a list of Jeff's favorites.
Yeah.
Mitch has got to be on there.
He's probably, if it was Survivor Jeff's favorites and it was 20 people, I think he makes the cast.
Mm, he loves him.
He does.
Uh, I'm gonna do Mitch. After all
Mitch.
that being said, I just think that Chrissy hasn't been in danger of going home at all, really.
Yeah, I don't see anyone coming for Chrissy anytime soon.
Mhm. I agree. So I got
Yeah.
four done chains now, but that's less to give later.
Yeah.
And like we said, there's a
Chrissy
lot of low hanging fruit.
yeah. Chrissy to me feels like the person that when you get down to like seven, it's like, has she even been in the show kind of thing? Even though,
Yeah,
like, I genuinely enjoy when we
yeah,
see her. She's not like close to my least favorite person. She's just not on
not
in
on the
the edit.
show. Yeah, not in the edit at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I do still have some winner equity here. I have Kyle and Camilla. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to go through everything and have an update for that next week. We'll have the winner equity. We'll have uh, the fantasy survivor. We'll have it all ready to
perfect.
roll next time. So All right. Well, yeah, I think that about does it for us here. So, happy Merge Week, everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.